Hello and welcome to our next session. We grow in awareness all the time throughout our life. We learn from every single situation, or at least there is a possibility for us to learn something from our past mistakes, from our past successes. So everything that happens to us is of benefit to us if only we slow down a bit and maybe take note of the lessons that are there for all of us in any given moment, in any given situation. I hope with the previous sessions of growing in awareness of our bodies, of ourselves, of our thoughts, feelings, emotions, behaviors, what we come to realize is that all of these have an impact on how we actually relate with ourselves, with others, and with God. My thinking, my feeling, my behavior affects my relationships, all of my relationships. And so I need to grow in awareness of what happens in those relationships. Because ultimately, the relationships are the most important part of our daily life. We relate with one another constantly, whether we are in families, whether we go to church, whether we go to our workplace, whether we meet with friends, whether we socialize, whether we go and do our daily activities such as shopping or going for a walk. We relate to other people. So we're in a constant relationship. Remember, we have been created by the Holy Trinity, who is an eternal relationship of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. And so we are created also for relationship. So it's good to become aware of, well, how do I relate? What is my relationship like with myself, with others, with the environment, and with God? So often we spend our lives trying to change other people around us. If only they changed, if only I succeed in changing them, my life will be a happy one. That's one great illusion that so many times we catch ourselves in. Because what we're effectively doing and saying is that my happiness is dependent on other people. And unfortunately for me, if that's the case, and there's no way of ensuring that these people will change, so I might be reduced to unhappiness for the rest of my life. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not how I look at life. At least that would be a very depressing way of looking at it. Because simply it's not true. My happiness in this life consists and is really dependent, first of all, upon God, who is the source of life, of joy, of happiness, and then on me, on my responding to God, on me taking responsibility for my life, for everything that happens, for everything that I become aware of that is happening within me. It's got nothing to do with other people around me. Other people might be just the means through which God helps me to become more aware of myself. Other people might become means of God revealing to me that, Martin, look, you're not as patient as you imagined you are. You're not as loving as you thought you are. Actually, you're none of these things. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you what real patience is, what real love is about. And so it's a moment of revelation. At least that's what helps me to deal with things. As painful as certain things may be in our daily interactions with one another, it is all a moment of revelation. There is something good in it for me. Why? Because God loves me. And He wants me to obtain good. He wants me to grow. He wants me to be transformed. And therefore we can take it on trust. We need to take it on trust. That God allows these things to happen for my good, for my benefit. Maybe to help me look at things differently in life. but always He does it out of love. And so remember, your happiness is not dependent on the person next to you. It depends on God and how you respond to God. Because that relationship with the Lord will help you to relate with the person you live with. That's the primary relationship for us. Our union with God, that's what we've been created for. And so what do we become aware of in our relationships? Well, first of all, it's that truth that no, it's not up to me to change you. I can't do that. I will forever be frustrated in that relationship. So I realized that if I can't change you, well, who can I change? And the answer is, I can do something about myself and my own inner world. That I can address. And so my thoughts, my approach to life, approach to things. Sometimes we go through different phases, we are asked to do certain things, and we see it as an imposition on us. So, for example, a ministry, I might be asked to do something. And I might say to myself, well, I really didn't ask for this. This is not my cup of tea. And so I can do this, but I can do it resisting it, or being reluctant about what I'm asked to do. I can actually start undermining what I'm supposed to be doing, simply because of the way I feel about things, simply because of how I think about this whole situation. It's an imposition, it's a should. I should be doing this, even though really I don't want to. Well, if I become negative through my thinking about things, and I become aware of it, I can change it. I can say, well, this is not helping me. How about something more positive? How about, I would like to do this. I would like to give it a go. I would like to try it. It's something new, something exciting. Maybe I will learn something. And doing the same activity, but simply me switching the way I think about it into a positive way of thinking about it, makes all the difference how I relate to it. The same can apply to your relationships with other people. The same can apply to anything that you do. Make it your own, because the minute I change it from a should, or I have to, or I need to something that I would like to, it changes it. And so the thing itself hasn't changed, the situation hasn't changed, but I have changed. And in that process, really everything else has changed. And that's the key here, that I understand that it is all about my change. That's the key. That's what makes real difference in this given circumstance. I might become aware that maybe, I'm struggling in my relationship with God. Maybe it seems very negative. Maybe I have issues with God. I have a real image of God that is not life-giving for me. Maybe that image has been passed on to you from generation to generation. Maybe that's what you grew up with. But that's why when we grow up, we grow older, and these challenging moments come, then we need to re-examine how real is that image to begin with. What is that image based on? Who told me this? Because if it's based on the real teaching of the Church, we as children of the Church, of the Catholic Church, then it's not going to be a draining experience. It's going to be a life-giving relationship. But I need to then find out about, well, what does the Church teach me really about God that I profess my faith in? Who is He? What do I know about Him? And so it's an invitation to find out, to learn again, to be open to the possibility that this image of God maybe had its purpose when I was little, but maybe it's outlived now. Maybe it's not really that true. And so I need to update it. Again, that updating of myself, that relearning can make all the difference. If I find myself being very aggressive towards other people or sarcastic or undermining, well, I know that there's a lot of anger in me. And maybe I'm hurt. Maybe I simply want to be heard and noticed. And that's why this anger has arisen. And so I need to find a way of communicating that's assertive, that actually says, well, there are issues here that are really important to me, but they're not more important than your issues. Because if they are, then it means I don't really care about you anymore. So let's look at it together. Can we have a conversation about it? This is what's important to me. Now tell me, what is important to you? Can we find a common ground? Can we find a meeting point? Can we arrive at a place of deep respect for one another? And it might turn out that we've been fighting over two different things altogether. So growing in awareness of all these painful things, growing in awareness of, maybe I need to change my thinking. Maybe I need to do some more work on my feelings, emotions, and how to deal with them. It's all there to help me move to the next stage that we will be talking about in our next sessions, of the practical things of what can I do? How can I change? How can I become more positive? Because growing in awareness of these, maybe the negative aspects, if you, for want of a better word, of ourselves, is not there to depress us. It's not there to put ourselves down. It's to be aware that this is a revelation from the Lord, who's pointing us the way, who's pointing us in the right direction. And so we need to become aware of our failings, of our shortcomings. We need to become aware of the reasons for some of the things that we do that are not healthy, and that's sometimes even sinful. And then to examine those and say, well, let me take small steps to address it. Let me take small steps to change that way of thinking. Let me take small steps to find a different way of dealing with my feelings and emotions. And in the end, if I do that, even if I become aware of what's taking place within me, my relationships will start to be different. The way I relate with other people will become different. The way I relate to God in prayer will become different because my prayer life will change. My prayer life will begin to be an intimate sharing about my life with the Lord. And I will not be stuck for things to share with Him, because I will discover this whole inner world within me that needs sharing, that needs healing, that needs transforming. So it's a beautiful journey that we embark on. Ultimately, the goal is for the Lord to renew within us His own image and likeness. So let's keep praying for the Lord to keep doing that for us. And that with every revelation, we will have the courage to respond to it, to respond to what the Lord is telling us, and to thank Him for it at the end of it. Lord, thank you for revealing this to me today. Thank you for teaching me. Remember, He is our teacher, He is our master, He is our brother, He is our Savior. So thank Him for all that the Lord is doing for you, and for all that He is for you as you continue on this journey. God bless.